We're good to go?
Good to go.
All righty. So it is Wednesday, 28 June, 2023. This is the regular board meeting of the select board. Retreat of the chair here today also, the vice chair Bob Freeze and select board member Wendy Raptor. So we have a quorum. So I'd like to start first with the public hearing on the land purchase. We advertise it starting at 3 o'clock. So can I have a motion to move into the public hearing? I'll second it. All in favor? Okay. So the public hearing, just to set a little bit of the background, the public hearing is on the select board's vote to purchase lot 107 3 with 2.13 acres from the Tyrell Development Corporation LLC for $400,000. And by state law, we are required to have 2 public hearings before we make our final decision on the purchase. So this is public hearing number 1. And the purpose of this purchase is to acquire land that is needed for the new wastewater treatment facility, hopefully in 2026 or 2027. But hopefully we'll begin construction in 2025. I think that's still scheduled. So is there anyone here who would like, or any select board would like to add to any of that? Anyone here who would like to
Yeah, I would just like to point out, we have a signed PNS, so. A
Yes,
purchase
thank you.
and sale agreement, with Tyrell,
right?
that's set out.
Yeah, it's a minor detail I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So that part of it is good. These public hearings are to have the town provide input to the select board, before the board finalizes the PNS and actually conducts the closing. So, we'll have another one of these in a couple of weeks. And then at that time, the board will vote, or within 7 days of that second public hearing, the board will vote to move forward
With the same,
with the closing.
with the closing.
So the second hearing has to be no sooner than 10 days, but
Between 10 and 14 days, yeah, from this hearing. And this is under a state statute that the town authorizes selectmen outside of the town meeting to acquire land or sell land. This is a process that we have to use by that state law.
And for those who will listen to this recording later and would be interested in, would make it today, but interested in commenting, I don't think we've set the date for that second public hearing
No, we
yet.
have not yet.
Okay, so we should make sure we get that out
We
there.
go and we get to scheduling.
Scheduling, great, that'll be a good time to do it. So, any comments from anybody that's here? Like, to inform the select board of their opinion on the matter. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody who'd like to talk, so I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Second, all in favor? Okay. So on the schedule, I see Sean's here, and as luck would have it, Sean, you're number 9G, the very end of the meeting. Since he's here, I think, why don't we just move you up, so that you don't, unless you're welcome to stay and listen to us.
Throw it
pontificate
on
the
for a
next
couple of hours.
2 hours, but I think you're here to discuss your proposal that the town donate $2,500 to the summer blooms program. Thank you, as we have done in the past. So is there anything you'd like to add to that before we vote on it?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions. The project is mostly the same as it was in previous years. We have the geranium barrels being put out in various locations throughout town. The town sponsored barrels last year went around bus stops, and the town's sign out front here, in front of Tack Lane. And various other locations, the bridge, like that, the barrels went in those locations, and we're certainly happy to accept any recommendations or requests for other places to put them. But we're looking for sponsorship for our barrels again this year.
Just to continue a conversation that we had at the Dessert Association this morning. There was chat there about having it all sponsored by some barrel. Something like that.
Yes. Yeah, we're talking to the marketing folks up the mountain there to see if they can help us put together some kind of little sponsor plaques to put on the barrels.
In the budget, it says $1,500 from the town of Waterville Valley.
I think that budget was based on year one, in which the town provided 1,500. Year two was 2,500.
It doesn't say the budget. It doesn't say that you.
Yeah. Always budget low. Hope for better.
A couple quick questions. Who's responsible for maintaining the condition of the barrels? Not, watering the flower. I've seen you out there, you do that all summer, but actually the conditions of the barrels themselves.
We usually repair them when we bring them back in. So these move several times a year. You've probably seen me out there lugging them around as well. I'm aware of one broken barrel on the corner where the new condos are being built.
Right, that was what I was.
And that one, I've got my eye on it. We're gonna pull that one out of there. And replace it with an intact one. That one's probably going in my burn pile. But yeah, we repair them. A lot of them over the years have lost their posts. So we get in there and repair the posts. That's the first one. I think one of the construction vehicles backed into it or something.
Yeah.
That's one of the first one. Barrel itself has deteriorated. But we'll be taking care of that.
I also noticed around town, and I don't know if they're part of the program, but there are 4 empty whiskey barrels, 5 actually, along the ice arena. Is that part of your?
Those haven't, yes, they haven't been moved yet. 2 of them will be planted. The arena, the rink has sponsored a couple of those barrels, so they'll get planted. And the others will either be relocated to other locations and planted, or if somebody sponsors, and a lot of times we'll get sponsors that say, put it wherever you like. And we'll just get those spaced more evenly and get some
Around
flowers
town,
into that.
that
Yeah,
if you have placard that technology.
correct.
Yeah, the one by the front door of the ice arena is basically an informal cigarette butt
Yes,
trash can.
yes, I have a tool for that. When I go around and clean the flowers, I nab the cigarette butts out to them.
There are also a couple by the theater under the star.
Mhm.
Thanks to those part of the program.
Those will be
So
planted.
you're still going around and getting flowers and
Yeah, this season's been a slow start. The weather hasn't really been
yeah.
too cooperative.
Well, some of those are started on, correct me if I'm wrong, because of the winter lights, right?
Yes,
And right, and that's why I was wondering whether if they weren't gonna be used for flowers, it will be good. Otherwise they'll become unofficial trash cans.
yeah,
Whatever isn't planted, even some plantable flowers, sometimes people grow it, but there's actually 2 couple, I guess by the beach. There's 2, I mean, there are 5, I think, on the beach, but as you're leaving the beach and walking toward the boats, there's 2, one on each side that don't have any flowers in them.
they will be planting those.
Yeah, there's,
They're part of the program.
right, and they will be planted. Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure we don't have empty barrels that become trash for something.
I will either plant or remove them
Okay.
by the conclusion of my labors.
At least you don't have to water anything.
Nope.
Careful, you probably jinx it off.
Yeah.
It's probably the driest August on record, right? Okay, so is there any other further comment or discussion from the board? Okay, would anyone like, I could make the motion to donate $2,500 to the, what's the official name of the program?
Summer blooms
Summer bloom
at Waterville
program.
Valley.
Managed by John Ward. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Should also point out it was voted in by as part of the town budget.
Oh, yes, I mean, we have plugged this into the budget.
Right.
So every year we do, and if we'll be discussing next year's budget later this year, September, October, so if you're thinking of any changes in the town contribution, let us know so we can put that, we
Okay.
can discuss that and decide, what we want to put into the budget for next year.
Excellent. Yeah, it's been my dream to grow this program bigger, so.
Yes, I probably saying that, doing something like what they have at Campton when you get off the highway
Yeah.
there. There's the sign, they have, very nice,
Beautiful garden there.
very nice garden area, and then, we have a sign, so
We do.
we could have something like that too. Okay. I think we're good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. I see several other people here. Is there any privilege of the floor? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good
First,
afternoon.
first of all, I have to apologize. Back in the second town meeting that I had planned to attend, that you and I discussed about, I had a family emergency, so I was out of town. But I did review it online, and I was very pleased about the overall subject matter and what you guys did for it. But I had 2 points that I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Number one, first of all, I don't know if the offices that I talked to log anything in. I couldn't tell you, but approximately 2 weeks ago, the construction, that's the 12 units, 6 and 6. They come in at approximately 7:15, and they're not working outside anymore. They're working inside of a framed building with various tools, air hammers, saws, what have you. And that whole building becomes nothing but a speaker with the 2 doors open and all the windows. So approximately at 7:20, 7:30 that morning, I saw Officer Joe drive by, and I told him. He was driving in the different direction that I was walking, so I assume he went up there, as he said he would. Within the next 2 days, they were doing the same thing. They probably don't realize that all that noise that's inside a framed building with no absorption to it is as loud as it is out on the street. So that was one thing. And I don't know if Officer Joe talked to them, but they don't really care. The second thing I noticed that wasn't discussed on that Tuesday was there was a gentleman there that talked about the motorcycle noise. And this is not about the motorcycle noise. What it is about is, it seems to me, and Chief Noyes can correct me if I'm wrong, that if there is a loud motorcycle noise in town, the officers can stop that motorcycle and can write a citation or ticket or whatever. But they cannot go to a piece of construction before 8 o'clock and tell those folks they're making the noise that they shouldn't be allowed to because of our ordinance. They have to get a complaint from a citizen, then they can act on any citizen's complaint. So I found it curious as to why the officers can stop a motorcycle, a car, a truck. I don't really care. I'm not picking on motorcycles. It just happened to be Motorcycle Week. But they can't say that a construction project before 0800, they can't go in there and stop them unless people like me complain. Now, am I correct?
Yes and no. So for the obvious noise, trucks, excavators, that sort of thing, the officers can be proactive
Correct.
and stop that. If they're driving by in their car and they don't hear it just because they're there doing some sort of work, which most construction sites, they're there before the time, they're doing it set up, they're getting their things ready. It is written in such a way that they are not the ones being the complainant on those. So the determination of unreasonableness is put on the person that complains. Now, if the second time that there is a complaint and we had to go there a second time, we would typically issue a citation. If it's the same crew, if it's doing the same activity within a 2-day period, that's a citation.
I didn't have an opportunity to see an officer on the second day.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna, especially if they're doing their school crossings, I'm not gonna bother them whatsoever. That is a heck of a lot more important than a little bit of, well, a lot of noise. The safety is, of course, important.
So
But
there's a balance there that we have to make. We're seeing a balance between these construction workers getting their jobs done and doing the things that they need to do for the day for the construction, and then also balance the sensitivities of all the residents here in town too. What we try to do is if they're indoors and you hear a hammer or a saw, but we don't get a complaint, we're not typically the first one that's jumping in and saying, hey, stop.
I can appreciate that, but
It's,
I was the person standing out there listening to this. And I wasn't really mad. I was more mad about the fact that they don't respect our ordinance. That's what gets me more angry than anything else. After time and time again, we've had a lot of discourse between the two of us. So this just didn't happen yesterday.
sure. John, and I don't know if we don't get called the second time, we don't know if that's even the same crew that's here.
Well,
There are so many different crews that come up. And every time I go walk in there are different faces and different crews.
Well, the man who runs it in the
They
white,
drive up from Massachusetts, and I don't know, I can't answer that.
the man in the white Ford pickup truck, he's the contractor. So he knows.
Yep.
And the guy in the little house on the other, little trailer on the other side, he knows. And I don't understand why it's not a blanket, no noise before 8 o'clock and everybody's happy. I won't ever complain at 8:01. I just think it's a slap in the face of Waterville that they don't care. That's my thing. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, one hammer makes an echo throughout the town. So that's what I took from that YouTube session. And those are the two things that kind of bug me. And
Well, in the first one, DPS does record any complaint.
Absolutely. So any call for service gets documented. There's a police incident report number pulled and what the conversation was, what the disposition was. For each one of
well,
them.
then you would know the exact date because it just goes, I forget. It happens so often, it kind of runs into each other. It was like 2 or 3 days after that I didn't complain because I didn't see an officer close by. And by the time I got up to I think maybe there was no school that day. Didn't seem to be too many cars up in that way. Or maybe he was on a call. Sometimes they get out on a call and they're not at their crossing area, which is understandable. I don't want them to do something as for the noise when safety of others and other things are more important. I understand that 100%. But 2 days after Officer Joe talked to them, it's the same crap.
Yeah. And I'm discounting that does happen. We can't be everywhere. And we're not typically, other than the guys driving by with the windows open. If they're seeing the guys and it's the obvious noise, they will certainly address it when it happens, but I know that I'm not having typical police officers go from site to site.
No.
Waiting for someone to
Well, my understanding of what you told
They
me,
can't be present all the time when that stuff's happening, so we rely on complaints.
that's what I when we talked before, you said I have to complain and others have to complain for you to have action. I'm curious as to why if an officer notices this, maybe they're just sitting there doing radar, I don't know. And they can hear this.
They will certainly address it if it's hammering, saws, anything that's obvious, but a lot of times they're not gonna sit there and then determine was that the dog or are they just moving something or are they just trying to get set up? And that's where the complaint component comes into it, because I think the activities that precede all these.
I understand that part.
Construction at 8 o'clock, like we said, it's not a construction ordinance, it's a noise ordinance. They can be there, they can
I am-
prepare for the day.
I'm not,
They can do those things, and I think a lot of times we don't discern unless it's obvious of what that noise might be.
well, I understand the setup process. My brother-in-law's in construction. I understand that. But when you hear the hammers and the saws and the air guns or the electric hammers going off at 7:30-ish, you know that shouldn't be done.
I agree with you.
Just a couple of quick things. We have talked about, John, looking at a construction noise select board ordinance. It's just something we're thinking about. Maybe it'd be good to take that out of the noise ordinance because of these other factors that come into play, where maybe we can address setup, but that obviously, there's nothing immediate future that's gonna resolve any noises during setup. And I see Jenny here. Jenny, I mean, you've been very much involved in
I live right beside that. These
And you
guys are
live right
chronic
there?
offenders. They're chronic offenders. They have been right from the get-go. I talked to Patrick Payer when they first started and they weren't listening to any of our ordinances. I said, how about this? How about if there's an officer who's free, sit at the base of the road? Let him know that we're keeping our eye on them. And he did that and it was great. And so for a while there was, they towed the line, but they're just chronic offenders with their noise. They never wait till 8 o'clock for anything, ever. Every day it's before 8 o'clock. The site is a mess. There's trash everywhere. I walk my dog through there every morning. It's disgusting. They dump stuff in the woods. It's horrible. And I'm so tired of complaining about it. So I'm glad to hear it.
I thought I was the only one.
It's just ridiculous. And then half the land is mine that they're on. It boils my blood. And I think maybe a letter. Hey, John Daly, that is not you. Things are pretty crappy over there. How about cleaning up your act?
Is there a possibility of constructing a relatively good sized sign with all the ordinance criteria within it? So that the people that are there can't say, well, I didn't know, because I heard that before. I've talked to a gentleman over on, was it Greenpeace over there? Green Peaks. He said, it was a Saturday at like 7 o'clock when we walk. And the guy said, well, I didn't know, nobody told me. He was, I don't know what he was doing there, but he was making, I could hear him from what, they might think I'm the town complainer, but all I'm asking for is the peace and quiet that we deserve before 8 o'clock. That's all I'm asking for. And he didn't know, and he was very kind about it. He said, I didn't know. It was like 7:30. I can wait half an hour, not a big deal. I was just trying to get in a little extra work on a Saturday. That's exactly pretty much what he said. It was very nice. But these other folks, I've actually walked onto that property while they were out there doing the stones, the flagstones, at 7:30 in the morning with that big saw that breaks the flagstones apart. And I asked him, hey, you can't make this noise until 8 o'clock. And they were okay with that. But I don't know if I should be doing that. And I don't mind doing that, but should I be doing that?
No, I would not confront, I would.
I don't think they're gonna shoot me, but
No, but I think that it's better because you do that, also, there's no record of that for a DPS to have a list of violations that they then can go to the foreman or whoever's in charge that day and say, look, this is just, number 7, that type of thing.
would it not be conducive to make some sort of sign, 8 by 10 or
So
Just
every new construction with a permit gets a list of the ordinances and the noise ordinances.
but do the ground pounders know that? The bosses know that.
That's up to the general contractor. We can't
But-
hand out, we leave it to the general contractors to know what the rules are. And
That
we
seems
leave it
kind
up
of
to
sad.
them to disseminate that information, and we've seen that there are gaps when the trash container company shows up at 7 to pick up the dumpster.
Yeah.
That's not on anyone's schedule, they don't work here, they're just a contractor.
Well,
contractor.
like I said, that man over at Green Peaks, he said, I didn't know, nobody told me. Well, if there was a, hey, this is the rules for the construction, and you can take it and move to each construction site over the years, it's not obviously a permanent thing, but that particular gentleman was called up, said, hey, can you come over here and do this for me and send me a bill? He didn't know. And I, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, we can look at procedures again, but I think the rest of the board agrees. I mean, I think, continuing the monitoring and, I think would be the best way to go. I mean, we're really just starting into our summer season now. It's gonna get pretty hot and heavy here the next 3 months. So,
The Green Peak site was pretty messy, and I think you guys went over and talked to them.
right,
Maybe we can do the same thing with the daily.
right. And I think they have. I mean, I was like,
They're much
Yeah,
better. They're
And
much
Right.
better.
it's all in the eye of the beholder as far as when you look at construction sites. And it's a construction site. It's what we need to make sure is that it's not impinging on other people's property. That if they're making a reasonable effort to keep it clean. We keep an eye on that, just to make sure that they have been pretty receptive. When we do bring up those sorts of things, so. We do keep an eye on it, but then again, I gotta understand that they are a working construction site. Too, so it's all within.
yeah, I think the issue has been
Reasonable,
more about
yeah.
the adjoining areas where stuff gets blown into the woods or what have you. But I think that's more the,
Yeah, the daily site has a little bit of a problem with their food stuff. That's, I know in the ordinance somewhere, there's something like you have to have a food receptacle. It's because of the bears and the crows and everything. They're like Dunkin' Donut wrappers and water bottles and orange peels and everything just scattered all over.
on the work site.
Yeah, it's just, they don't have their dumpster is a 3-sided wooden box that they use to fill up, and then they carry it over to the big dumpster. They don't have a enclosed trash barrel for their food scraps, or if they do, it's not properly contained so that the animals don't get into it at night and scatter it everywhere. But I mean, I'm probably the only one that sees that, but because it's in my backyard, I see it, so.
Yeah, we would certainly, I mean, we could check on that.
No, that's,
Yeah,
I can certainly talk to our staff to renew their efforts and be a lot more sensitive to all the concerns that we heard today as far as the noise goes in the morning. And really, we don't have school anymore because of the summer, so
you're more freed up.
a little more freed up time for the patrol unit to be out, and hopefully they can put their windows down and stuff. And be a little more proactive with that, of course.
Thank you. Thank you, John. James, I see you're here for privilege of the floor or just.
No, I was here for the
Can't
public
get-
hearing.
Oh, I can't get enough of these select board meetings of
No,
your own.
Having too much.
Yeah, haven't you? Yeah. How is that recruiting and retention problem?
we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
When I read it, all I could think, thank God it's not as bad as it is. It's not as bad here as the sorts of things you guys are dealing with and on the seacoast. Thank you, John. All right, so if you don't, Jenny, did you have, you're here for the beaver discussion later on?
Yeah,
Okay, so I guess we can move on from privilege of the floor. I do. So approval of minutes, anyone have any further comments on the 24th of May 23 minutes of the regular meeting? I will make the motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Financial report, so Stephen training today?
He is. Learning about internal controls. Okay, so, 42% of the year, this is as of end of May. No exceptional changes out of here, off these numbers, so we are tracking, the numbers for, let's see, the public safety revenues at 66% are from ambulance fees, I'm sure. So that's a timing issue with the collection of those. Motor vehicle registrations are running pretty much on budget. And that's, any other questions or comments on the revenue side? Expenditures. Expenditures, 72%. On cemeteries, that's a very small item in timing. for- Yeah, and, the patriotic purposes, we made the deposit for the fireworks, which are gonna be on July 4th. Fireworks are on July 4th. In case you.
Would that be the 4th of July?
That would be the 4th of July.
Of the 4th of July.
Yes.
Right.
Not
And
any
it
other
looks
day.
like.
And it looks, no, do not say it out loud. Oh, my goodness.
All bets are off on whether this.
Debt service payments, timing issue on the interest, we make payments, during January and February that are interest only. So that's why that's a little bit.
General overhead, why is that?
General overhead includes the buses, includes all those broken out. We made payments to the Ray Center, we made payments to, the theater under the stars.
We got a huge balance.
We, there's also, I'm sorry, that is also, contingency.
For the 100,000, whatever.
Yeah.
100, 150 contingents still sitting there.
So hopefully we don't spend a lot.
I hope we don't, I hope that stays right down at 5%.
Okay, anything else on budget?
I just had a general question.
Please.
These are organized, I assume, in the same way as the budget for the town meeting, but
Yeah.
not. So there's no way to list them in a way that's weighted, like these are the heavier hitting items. So like cemetery.
Well, we've done that, with, on the revenue side, we have, put, some of the, like admin, we've broken down and that sort of thing, or you're talking about,
Like just so the heavy, bigger items are, so if we're scanning across the percentage, we know.
In other words, you see, right, you see the- yeah, you have
yeah,
It's not a big deal.
yeah, it's just from a filling out form, because this doesn't come off of our account. With the new accounting system, we will be able to make
the
custom
presentation.
reports
Oh, okay.
that we could do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But we do this stuff.
Yeah. No, I feel this.
All right, we're gonna move on to department head reports. All righty. David, what's happening in DPS these days?
Well, some of you may or may not have met Jim Chapin, but I had Jim Chapin come in today as our new fire captain, so you can put a face to a name. We're very glad to have him. He's been here for about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. That's a lot. Yeah. Time flies when we're having fun. He was sworn in today as a public safety officer, so we just get him signed up for the part-time academy. Not sure if that's gonna go because of low enrollment. But at least we've got him sworn in so we can start doing some training on the police side. He's a paramedic, he's been a firefighter for 17 years. Comes to us with a lot of experience on that side of things, and him and I have been working very closely together on the building inspection, code enforcement type side. So we've been doing a lot of that stuff together. He likes to swing a hammer, so he's got a little better even insight than I do on some of these things, a little better eye when it comes to that stuff. So really looking forward to getting him up to speed here, but I just wanted to bring him in for 5 minutes to make an introduction, and that way he can go do other things.
Thank you, Jim. Pleasure to meet you. Bob, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Almost the first month there's been great, it's been wonderful going around.
You came from the ambulance service.
Yeah, I worked for a private ambulance service for almost 15 years. And some changes in that occurred, so it allowed me to come here. Jeff cornered me at a meeting that I was attending. He was like, it would be a good fit for this, so.
We don't let anyone leave or retire.
Right.
after their place.
Tried to make sure of that, so.
Yeah, so I have a pretty good background on the paramedic side. Working on an ambulance and fire equipment. So.
That's sort of.
Hopefully, a little bit of a lull now, and that.
Yeah, and even because it's been a little quiet right now, Jim's even jumped in and all the on-duty guys they've been doing, if you've noticed this at the pond, quite off the last few weeks. He's been just doing daily training with those guys.
Yeah,
Getting up
I was
to-
wondering that. Okay.
Yep, so we've just been practicing our skills and Jim's been a big component in that. As part of his job is training, so making sure these guys are, and it's good to see, he gets to see where everybody's at too.
We can keep it friendly, so.
Anything on the police side? Where they are reported?
But no, just a few, I'll run down my list here. We are in the final process of hiring for our full-time public safety officer position. So we should have a background wrapped up by the end of the week. And
Something like that, candidate.
we have a very good candidate, so. So if everything works out well within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we can bring that person on board. The deadline for the paperwork for the full-time academy is Friday or Monday. Monday.
So we'll be talking to the candidate and
Great.
doing an offer letter following our regular procedure. We just have to finish the background investigation.
Yeah, the majority of it's already been done. So.
And he's
Everything.
planning to accept. She,
Yep.
great, so she's planning to,
Yeah, we're everything's looking good.
Yep.
great.
Yep, so we're doing that. Like I said, I mentioned the weekly training that we've been doing. We spoke yesterday, Pat spoke with Grafton County. There was a phone number that through Grafton Dispatch that was attached to our non-emergency number or the dispatch number that we use. And it was because it was a non-number that we used, we decided to eliminate it. We were paying for it, but it wasn't being used, so that's gonna eliminate. But what that does is instead of when you call the 4732 number, instead of them being able to recognize that it's specifically Waterville Valley, they always answered the phone, Waterville Valley Police Department. That line is now just a general line. They will answer it as Grafton County Dispatch. So one small change for people. We just want people, we'll send that out, tip 411 just to.
And I'm gonna mention it at the
Community meeting and
Tuesday,
you may even want to put a little.
and we'll put it right up.
Yep, just put a little blurb so people, if they call the same number and they say Grafton County Dispatch, they don't have the wrong number. That's the same people answering the phone. It's just
Right.
they don't recognize that as being
Waterville Valley.
the Waterville Valley
Right.
Police Department number. We assume it's fine if you call Lakes Region Dispatch to answer the phone, Lakes Region Dispatch will answer it as well.
It's a several $100 cost for that one thing.
Yeah,
It's not gonna change the service at all. It's just gonna be a different.
So the numbers don't change, I still have the same.
no, the number's still the same, just the way they answer the
The way
phone.
they answer the phone.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Just a few over the last couple of weeks, just a few minor theft cases and criminal mischief stuff over there. I think Pat was gonna talk to a few business owners and bring up, some cameras. have been, quite influential in catching some of these people doing these things, so. If you have, businesses, we would certainly, and you're looking to. Protect some of your stuff, then certainly cameras are very beneficial, because there's been a couple cases where we've been able to solve those through the cameras. We already talked about July 4th, we're all set. The location is just moved, it's on the same, still on the bridge, but just from being on the north end of the bridge, is gonna be towards the south end of the bridge, just to meet the minimum setbacks for the fireworks folks, just because of the new houses that have been built for brownstone. We just gotta make sure we maintain those, so instead of we used to close the road at Valley and Village and where Waterville Place is, we're just gonna close it at Golden Heights and Waterville Place. And then the setup area will just move about 100 feet. So it really shouldn't affect anything, other than we just need we used to park the fire truck in the middle just to catch all the pedestrian traffic, but we should be able to handle that with just the 2 closers. So, we'll be doing the parade.
What time's the parade start?
So 11 o'clock.
So people organize what at 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually.
between 10 and 10:30, they show up at the parking lot at the conference center.
Mhm.
And the road, well.
I was gonna ask anything else going on for,
Yeah, so as far as the July 4th, the road construction, they will be out the entire week.
right,
So they're gonna button everything up on Friday,
all roads will be passed,
and all roads and every place will be passed.
so it won't change.
Before they leave.
So
So
the
the
parade
parade
will
route
go
will
around the
continue.
same?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There'll only be a couple of cuts across the pavement. Disturbing the pavement.
But anything else is our last meeting, I think, before July 4th, anything else of note? Fireworks, road,
No,
Anything else?
we're gonna assist the rec department in their, 4th of July Packard's.
oh, on July 1st, the
On July
summer
1st.
festival,
This,
Yep.
yeah.
right,
So,
who's going into the tank?
And I think we got Jordan Riccio and a couple others.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you got a
no,
couple.
it's the cheapest.
Well, that's what I was
We
asking.
promised that
Yeah.
we would make sure that it wasn't the pond water this time, so.
That's the.
Well, I'm wearing the dry suit anyway. I'm never cold when I go in.
I told Brooke I do it as long as it's the pond water.
Yes, we will be flushing the trucks on Friday. We will be refilling them here, so one of the only fire departments that run drinking water in the fire truck.
Water through the fire. That's right.
And it'll sit here overnight on Friday, so hopefully by Saturday, it would have worn.
45.
Nice,
Gonna be cold.
nice.
That's why I wear a dry suit.
Maybe the pond water isn't such a bad choice.
And we lost our,
Yes, it's-
and we lost our
We'll get to
kickball.
that.
We lost our kickball game.
Yeah, they've already,
Wait a minute, that's 2 years in a row.
2 years in a
We
row.
gotta do something about that, man.
Yeah.
How about the new cruiser status?
Still waiting, so they were waiting on parts, they told, we were hoping it was gonna be the end of this month, early next month, but we still haven't heard from them yet. So as soon as it's in the queue, they'll call us to bring the other cruiser over to transfer the radio, the computer, that sort of thing, but.
Yeah, that's a communications. We're waiting on communications.
Yep. Still waiting on that.
would you just cover the, department heads, so.
Right,
just continue.
so it looks like Dylan.
Things have been busy lately. The rainfall hasn't helped a whole lot on the wastewater side. No. So what we were trying to do was try to get ourselves in a good position with the lagoons prior to July 1st, because July 1st is the start of strictest time of the year permit wise for us. We have a 1 milligram per liter of ammonia in our discharge permit. So what we try to do with that is try to get the lagoons down low enough so that way we can phase everything in and kind of take our time, get everything dialed in, to make sure we can meet it, no problem. But with the rainfall, we don't have any capacity to balance that out. So we're gonna be starting that up earlier than expected. Typically, we do it the week of when we have to meet that 1 milligram per liter of ammonia. This year is gonna be this week. Just because we don't have the luxury now of not being able to run. So, but other than that, we've just been plugging away and a little bit more busy now than we had been in the past few weeks. Project wise, I don't have any updates for you. Well, actually, I take that back on the water project I do, so we'll talk about that when we get to that. But all is well so far. Right now.
DPW, manholes, potholes, equipment maintenance. Those are the things that they're primarily working on right now.
What we're doing in front by the Valley Road, Village Road,
Manhole
Just that.
replacement.
A manhole.
is that planned?
Yeah, that's funny. We actually are gonna have, like, the manholes themselves have been fixed. And we have coordinated for paving around it.
How about, the one by Beal Brothers? I think she's been away, but she,
Yes.
we'll certainly hear about it.
That is one of the.
Where is that?
That's on
Up all the
all
path.
the path.
Oh,
right up
okay.
at the end,
Yep.
On the hill.
It has a
That
lift
is
to
one
it.
That's on the way.
I know they worked on it last year, but
Yeah.
now it's kind of sunken in.
We actually have materials here and they're going around replacing the rings. Yeah, and bringing them up. Yeah. They've worked on Cascade Ridge, they've
Noon
worked
Peak.
on Noon Peak.
Yeah.
They've worked on Lost Pass and Village Road so far.
Any news on DPW job?
Nothing yet.
Is there anything we can do to make that?
Someone bring in the bill upstairs?
We are.
They'll be room.
I've got no things for you, but, we talked about.
Obnoxious.
So we can do a non-public in the next meeting with that being.
How about anything in rec?
They started summer camps on Monday. Imagine that's where she is. She's on vacation.
Family reunion week, yeah, for her, the poor thing.
Yeah, Sandra, I've been over there once, everything looked good, they were doing check-ins at 9 AM, so. Seems to be going along per plan, it's just, I'm sure a little challenging because they're inside. So much because of the weather, but. They have their programs settled for those rainy days.
What's summer camp without a rainy day?
That's, or nothing more.
What's that, right?
Um, 35. I hope not 35. Unfortunately, we did get the bacteria results back. And they're extremely high again. They tripled from last.
Wow.
All this rain.
Yeah, it's,
You keep in mind that when it rains, everything that's on the shore is getting washed into the pond.
Because I mean, I think our last select board meeting, we thought that the rain's gonna help flush it out.
we did, and we even
It
put
depends.
the aerator, we even put the
I noticed
aerator
it
back
yesterday, yeah.
to try to get colder water from the bottom, try to stir it up a little. And
There's a lot of beaver dam above. When you're looking up above.
On Cascade.
Yeah, up Cascade Ridge, and you get the top on the flats up in Sandwich. Up top there, all that stuff dumps into Stonesboro.
Will this
And
be a
so,
new normal?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that this amount of rain, I mean, we've had 28 out of, or 20, 27 out of 28 days in June, we've had some.
This is probably a stupid question, but we shouldn't, is it possible to put in chemicals in it?
You would have to have such a large volume. I mean, we're talking volumes that are 4 times even the wastewater discharge. For for coliform, so it's significant. And for, what is the mark, called 5 million gallons, 7 million gallon pond, something like that.
It's a 5-acre pond, 40 million.
Uh,
I think
is it that bad? I think it's 5-7 million gallon.
It's acres.
But it's also constantly switching over water, so it's not like it's. a one-
Right, we
thing
can't
anyway.
just treat
Yeah,
it
it's not
once.
a
and have it fixed.
They don't just-
The only way you can do that is if we were in a dry period and you put all the flash boards in so that no water ran out. And then either way, yeah, in either way,
So what can we treat it with?
it would be chlorine and you don't want
Yeah, you don't
to,
want
it's gonna affect all the water.
With the amount of water that's coming in, we're actually removing blocks
Right.
to get
I
the water
noticed.
out.
I noticed.
Because
Like a flow yesterday.
we're topping the flash boards. And we don't want those to activate because then we would have to draw the pond way down. And that would
And plus the other aquatic life that's in the pond as well, yeah.
So we need to wait for drier weather.
I'm thinking that the drier weather might improve it. The issues that we have which I don't know if we'll have them this year because of the amount of rain that we're getting. But August, the issue then becomes the pond heating up.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a weird balance. You can't have too much coming in, but you need to have some coming in.
Right.
And
Goldilocks
in August,
principle.
it is.
Right.
And if,
Yeah, low flow
if you get low flow, then the water heats up.
Yeah.
And that makes the bacteria.
Breeding ground.
So.
And this is all E. coli, right?
So
Well, it's fecal coliform,
fecal coli.
Okay,
yeah, so it's not technically E. coli, but
okay.
Mike Fergal's, his comments on on Facebook were good,
Yeah,
directing people to, alternatives.
Mhm.
That was good. Good message.
And we just want to keep reiterating, it doesn't affect the town's boats. I mean, those are still usable. It is the swimming,
Okay.
the way when we get the water. So we are still trying to run the.
So what are we have signs there?
Yeah, we do.
And what do the signs say?
They are warning that there is a high bacterial level and it recommends no swimming. Over.
So if somebody wanted to go in, they could.
They could. But we would urge them not to.
Keep them on.
You know,
Good for you.
I swam in worse.
yeah,
Yeah,
I grew up, I
that-
swam in Boston Harbor. I-
Yeah.
And we are 100%, I know nothing, 90% sure that there's nothing else new that's been introduced. Driven some kind of discharge or into the pond that could account for this.
The only thing that really could make sense is to do more monitoring. And to try to dial in, if we go to the front end of Snow's Brook and we get a hit that's high. It tells you that it's coming down from Snow's
It's from
Brook,
the brook. And
and there's nothing that we're gonna do to change that.
The pond.
right? I mean, it's nothing we can do to change it as it is right now, other than if it's related to the ducks, then that's the only thing we could do is. Make sure we don't have people
I mean,
feed them, but
the town would have to take that testing on because this program is specifically for the beach. So
Right.
they're going to be testing
at cost, for
at the
sure.
beach. And, I
Right,
mean,
so maybe we need to think about that, but maybe this could be since so many of the businesses depend on it, something that we could work out with the Resort Association in terms of cost.
For what?
What kind of cost are you talking about?
Depending upon what they do for bacteria testing is depending upon if you want to have exact, like fecal coliform versus total coliform and E. coli.
Mhm.
That's a different cost as opposed to just a total E. coli or total bacteria count.
Okay.
So if you just want to know, a general idea of what's going on at different areas throughout the pond, $25 to test something along the lines of that.
Okay,
And that's for the lab.
Yes. That would be for a
Would it
sub
make
lab.
sense for us to test upstream of just
or at least for an entrance to the
Yeah.
pond.
stratify ourselves and then coming in from the the bank.
Oh, they're probably talking like.
Yeah.
$25 just to do. A water tested with the snow, crosses into the pond.
It'd be good to know, well, what have the, yes, numbers fresh.
Yeah,
Just keep in mind that there's a very short hold time on those grab samples, so they have to be down 2 weeks up lab, so it has to be coordinated either with a courier service or someone has to go down to Concord to drop them off.
Mhm.
We don't have we have the ability in-house to do E. coli, but strictly E. coli, we can't decipher whether, if it's fecal coliform or.
what do you guys think? Maybe. Do a test up by Snowsbrook at the entrance to the
It'd be really
pond?
good to know.
I think it'd be good to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Just to know that it's the text coming from upstream.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could be, and it could be much
And
higher
there-
than what
and
we're
there are
getting.
some there around towns,
Sewer system,
services, services.
There's no.
no septic systems,
I mean,
there's nothing being applied to the land over there either that's gonna cause that, so.
So there's construction
Yeah.
activity pretty close to the stream at the closest house.
Yeah, but we would be talking at like a full-blown cow farm for these types of numbers.
so,
Yeah,
okay,
these numbers are probably
14, 25.
what,
Yeah.
10 times higher than.
Well, I'll give you an idea. So coming out of the plant, we're typically less than one. The way that the testing works for E. coli is it's not in it's in whole numbers, but there's decimal points associated with it because it's most probable number, okay? So we're typically less than 1.0, but our permit lets us go up to 452 colonies per 100 milliliters of E. coli. This is,
This recent test was 2,400
yeah,
on the left side of the beach and 1,400 on the right side.
so as an idea,
As you're on the beach,
Yeah.
missing out.
so it's more on the left where the dam is.
Again, these are the left and right. limits.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the left side of the beach and the right side. That could be the left sample and the right
Well,
sample.
let's
Well, they
see,
give you-
yeah, however-
It could literally be
We don't
like
know exactly.
10 feet apart. I'm not sure where their sample site technically. I know where they take it is off of the point closest to like the snowmaking hut.
Right. They do it there.
Yeah.
So it's certainly in the town's interest to see if we can get a better understanding of what's happening. It's such an important,
When,
obviously,
when the state testing it,
629.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And now we
They're gonna
last,
test again.
After another day before.
That'll be, well, they said that they will
That
retest
was
on
scrapped out?
629 and I would expect them to test on July.
Oh, so these are.
No, they won't, because the lab's closed.
Yeah.
so tomorrow's.
This will be the last.
So
Written like-
you get to this map, that is
How long
just
did they have
empty.
to go?
Yes,
They will get it to us by.
Yeah,
go right to our
24
website.
hours.
And then that
Oh,
beach
it's on there.
advisory, there's a link right here.
So
Yeah.
From the DAS.
And, yeah, so,
The maiden will go so high, so.
For so long.
well,
Right.
well,
It's
the
going
left-
Gone up street.
last test, the left was at 800 and the right was at
it was much lower, I thought.
700.
It was like a,
That.
But the test before that was up high like.
yeah,
this,
4 or
so
3.
I wonder
If
if
we are going up and down.
it's coordination with the rain, it seems.
We'll do a test and have snows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get through all the departments, any administrative, anything else? You got the DPW, DPS, rec?
No, I got a couple of things for you to sign at the end of the meeting,
Okay,
from admin, including ordinance number 8 and a release of, taxes.
Okay.
okay.
And everything goes, is it the bi-weekly pay starting?
Bi-weekly bill started this week, so the payment is going out on Friday. And
Everyone else, okay. All righty, let's move on to calendar review. So we have our workshop tomorrow here at 2:30. Next planning board is on 13 July here at 8 AM. Our next regular select board meeting is on 12 July at 3 PM. And did we want to advertise a date for us? Public hearing number 2 on the land purchase.
Can we do that? This 14 days, right?
Yeah, we need 14 days, you can do it.
As late as 14, right?
Yeah.
So between 10 and 14,
10 and 14.
so we'll do it on the 12th, with the 12th fit, I think it will fit.
14.
Okay, so we'll have our next meeting, we'll have a public hearing for the lot purchase.
Yeah, and just for your, just to note, calendar wise, the RFP we mentioned 2 weeks ago, so we'll be able to talk about
A little bit about it.
that.
Okay. Yeah, we can get those issues down a little bit. Okay, anything else on calendar? Everyone good? Any plan out of towns, vacations?
I'll be on vacation next week.
You gone?
Just so-
Wait a minute, July 4th. Wait a minute.
I'll be back for the fourth. I'll be here for the parade and all that, so.
Good. You going any place or just taking time off?
Just taking some time.
Not going to Mexico?
Yeah,
No, that's already happened.
already have.
All right. Okay, new business, unanticipated ARPA funding.
Yep.
Get a review it and then we'll vote to accept the money. Is there anything more you can add?
So ARPA
other than
was
what you
given,
have?
ARPA money was given to each of the counties. They are distributing what was given to the county because they don't have any infrastructure or services. the
Right.
way that Towns do. So towns were asked to submit requests up to $50,000. Everybody requested
$50,000.
$50,000.
Yeah,
So they went through their requests, they did award 40,000 per town, for most of the towns. So Waterville Valley was one of those 40,000, this is unanticipated revenue. You're allowed to accept it, and I would recommend you accept it, and we put it in as miscellaneous revenue. So,
okay. That's good. Go ahead.
Now,
Yeah.
that we accept the 40,000 ARPA fund.
And
Oh, I put it towards
in
general.
towards miscellaneous revenue.
miscellaneous.
Yep.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, voluntary lot merger.
Yes, so if it is all right with the board, I'd like, if you would to vote to do a voluntary lot merger for all of the town lot.
Yeah.
There are
See that
3
on the map?
separate lots. There's a little piece at the southeast end of Lagoon 2. That's a separate lot on our tax maps. And then there is a parcel that includes the new entrance spot to the transfer station. That I would like to have that just as one big lot.
Right, that'll help us with the,
And it does help
We
us
can talk
with
about that.
paperwork for
when we get to the transfer
the
station.
clean water.
It doesn't make sense to wait till we get this,
No, we can do that. This is just
What we
a
take for it.
presentation. It is a paperwork thing. This, if you are okay with this, we'll present it to the planning board. They vote
Sure.
that they've seen it. It's not really even an approval by them. And then we record that. And then the mappers take the lines out.
Right, and any property owner can,
Yeah, there's no,
Merge
any property
without-
owner can merge without a dispute.
that's not an approval.
Yes.
just a
And
notification.
then come back in August,
And do 173,
probably the September, meeting,
do
and we'll do
173.
107.3 and just merge it. into
Something to think about when we do that is, you notice that it cuts across a green belt. We may want to extend the green belt all the way to the bridge.
No, the green belt actually ends. The green belt.
That's what I'm
ends right
saying. Do
here.
we want to take a chunk of that and add it to the green belt instead of, see what I'm saying? So because the trail
Right
goes
down
right,
here,
yeah, the trail goes right along the river.
that would cause us, that would be actually creating.
Okay, forget it. then.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
I was just
I would
trying,
recommend to not do that.
okay, no, I just
Um,
thought it was a way to rationalize, we have the trail going through there.
We could eventually put a line in there once we get the design work done
Mhm,
on the new
mhm.
plan.
So there's one contiguous green
Yeah.
belt with the trail all the way up to,
That's
Snow's, yeah,
Yeah, I just wait until the project is more settled
okay,
and then.
alrighty.
You know, question?
So I'm good with the merger, Bob. Randy, you good with the merger? Go ahead and
All right, I will submit that.
so the paperwork to the planning board, and hopefully they will get to it at the meeting in July. Update exhibit 2 to the community power plan.
Yes,
Has Kim had a chance?
yes, Kim looked at it.
Okay.
She couldn't be here today,
You
because
good
she
with
was
this?
busy, but, she said, she's fine with the change that Emily and I submitted to you.
Okay,
It was the red,
They're fine to me.
yep.
so.
We need a motion that we accept the changes to the Waterville Valley Community Power Exhibit 2 Education and Outreach Plan presented to us by
Standard power.
Standard Power and reviewed by the chair of the what do we call them now? The Community Power Committee, not, okay,
Second.
favor, aye,
Aye.
right. All right, moving on to old business.
Want to do E first or Jenny?
Oh, did I miss,
E.
Ian, new business. Yes, why don't we go ahead and talk about our wildlife issues? They seem to be more and more problematic. So I see, you guys had a chance to look at the, and again, thank you, Jenny, for putting together a really good proposal for the Forest Service, which they requested at our meeting with them on this.
We expect a fast turnaround.
Yes, because we want to get the work done prior to July 15th. That would be kind of a drop dead. They don't want us to go too far into the summer. Because we want to give the beavers an opportunity to go find someplace.
There's an email. Have you seen it from,
He did already.
not Roger, but, hold on a second. Brett Hillman. We'll circulate this, get back to you soon as we hear from all the pertinent specialists. I'm glad you're willing to get started on the project soon, although we may not be able to respond to your proposal by mid-July. We'll do our best though.
Yeah.
One potential roadblock is consulting with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on impacts of the northern long-eared bat. Your proposal doesn't mention the need to remove any trees along the trail to allow heavy equipment to enter the site.
We will,
No, I thought we had language in there that said that it was,
we will not.
we're not,
We
we're
will,
not
I will.
clarify with
respond
him,
to the-
respond to him, right?
We do not plan on cutting.
Yeah, they're asking, do you have kind of any trees? No, the answer is no, because it's going right into the
We're
site
gonna use Red Feather Trail.
and
We're
live
gonna
more
take
road.
it off, and then we'll go in after the mating season for the bats. And if we have to remove a couple of trees to get further over, to remove another section of the dam.
It'll be after.
But we would do that
After.
probably next spring because of the potential impact, but once we get the water down and the beavers have left, we can go in there and take more sections of the dam.
Right, once they realize it
Before the weather changes.
changes. Okay, so if you'll just answer the email,
I will, and I'll work with.
we're great on it. Okay. I thought we anticipated all this.
Jenny, you got comments on all this?
No, I was just here for backup, but you guys are,
So, I mean, I just want to reiterate that this is just a request to the Forest Service and New Hampshire, the DES. They're a player here because
They,
of the
they
weather
will be notified.
notified for approval to breach these dams, both of which are on Forest Service property. However, the select board still has to look at the cost of such a endeavor going forward. So we don't have the funds associated with this yet, so we'll have to decide if we want to spend the money to do this. That's still a separate. Once we get the approval, then we can worry about the cost, if we want to go forward with it.
We'll have the cost before the. 15th.
Okay.
Right, yes. That's all. We still don't know the cost and
So by our next meeting. we should-
Yes.
So I'm sure the cost of an excavator, right?
Right,
And
It
the
should.
operator.
Yeah,
yeah, that should be it.
that should be.
That should be it.
Because the question that we're gonna say no, right?
No, I just want to make it plain for all the folks out there that it's a two-step process. And we still haven't voted to go ahead and do this since we're waiting for the folks. Tell us we can. Okay, anything else on our wildlife matter update? All right, let's go back up to water project update.
So, I believe July 5th is, we're supposed to have engineers on site as well as the, I believe, installers for our solution to the power at well 3. June 28th was the ship, will be the ship date, so today, for the generator for the water treatment building.
I thought it was the 23rd.
26th, they moved it out 2 days. So,
And then it became the
28th.
so. I had got in touch with Brian and told him, Brian Grenice, and told him that, obviously. Can't have a delivery on the 4th of July or anything like that, because they're the ones that have to receive it, not the town. So, but the town has to be present, because they're gonna set it on our pad. And hook it up to the conduit and then obviously test it as well. So hopefully, both of those things can happen concurrently next week. That'd be nice, yes,
And we're still okay with the solution
yes.
to the power and communication power?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing has changed,
Nothing's changed. Okay.
but
They just have to do it.
those are really the two final items.
It's a bit, yeah. Okay. Anything else on the water project? All right, let's move on to the road project update.
Going very well there. They've got the drainage structures. About, I'd say 85–90% installed. Two things, they were supposed to camera the drainage pipes up at Osceola Road intersection today, but because of the weather, they canceled. They will be coming in maybe before the end of the week. But they need to put a camera up those pipes because we cannot find the other end of it. So they're buried. So we
Yeah.
need to find out what's there. And whether or not they need to be completely replaced or whether they need to be in place and new pipes put in. So that's something that could cause a change, but we don't know yet. The other thing is we have a meeting scheduled for Friday with the Mountain Brook Condo Association. About it, have you all seen the ramp that comes up from the village trail to the road?
Yes, the new
Put in
rebuilt,
new one that's
right.
been rebuilt. Have you ever seen it? Take a look at it. They did a fantastic job on the Snows Brook side.
Okay.
We're now talking to the Mountain Brook side to change that one. That's all eroded.
Yeah,
Um,
dirt road.
Right, what happens is the cat comes to the end of that and starts to pitch down very quickly. And it's eroding the edge of the road.
Right.
So we want to build that out flatter and change that slope. And it will save on the crossing site. And hopefully make the road last a little bit longer. But we need to get the okay because some of the land, it belongs to the condo association. So, we have that meeting scheduled and we'll see how it goes. They did a great job removing the dumpster enclosure and relocating the dumpster for the Silver Fox.
Looks like the valley and retaining wall
Yeah.
got compromised,
That's being removed.
being removed.
Yes,
You can have.
the valley and.
Oh,
retaining wall.
yeah, those blocks.
Along
that can-
Snowsburg.
Those are available if anybody wants them. They can hold it. Build your own. Again, they won't be here at all, the week of the 3rd of July. And then when we get back on the 10th, I should have mentioned it when John was here, but they will be ripping up the road, paving and doing the reclamation work. And actually boxing out and bringing in new material. So the heavy construction portion of this is gonna start the week of the 10th of July. And they do, you know, they have a 7 o'clock start time. That's their guys getting to the site and getting equipment ready to go. We have asked them to start, you know, as late as they can, but we did give them an early start time, so equipment will be fired up and moving around.
Get it over with.
already, So we,
Is it worth just putting something out there, just, you
I
know?
mentioned it at the last community meeting, and I
Okay.
mentioned it again on Tuesday.
On Tuesdays won't happen.
Tuesday, we're not gonna have it.
4th of July.
Right, 4th of July, I'm sorry.
So maybe 3 weeks.
Just.
I think he's gonna.
He's gonna do it on the 11th.
It's
Yeah.
everyone's best interest.
Yeah.
This stuff.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, though, one of us, Mark, myself, or Bill Dower can mention to Coleman.
I
or-
did.
Oh,
I
there
did
you go.
already.
So then they're all.
I talked to Coleman about starting as close to 8 as he can.
Yeah.
With the actual, like
Heavy.
the reclaimer
Yeah.
and things like that. We'll have them wait till, but they will be moving equipment.
Right. As things like the pipes are moved or late, is there like a master plan or bill pass or whatever that shows those that's recorded for future?
Yes, they are responsible, the engineers and the contractor will update the plans, they're updating them as they go. And then they're responsible to give us an as-built set of plans with where the drainage actually was installed.
Does it show where like those pipes, whatever
Mhm.
abandoned pipes?
Oh,
are?
well, no, what they're gonna do with the abandoned pipes is they will fill them with concrete or they'll remove
Okay.
one of the two. So. Anything that we do.
But we are constantly surprised
Well, we're constantly surprised at what we're finding.
what we're finding. Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's-
And
That's not, that
that's
was not
why
recorded anyway.
we,
Yeah.
well, that's why we're requiring a set of aspect plans. There are change orders that are associated with all of these changes. I'm hoping that we can summarize those by July 12th for you. And the reason that I didn't bring them today is we still have not gotten the second number on Snows Mountain Road. For the repaving with the reclaiming.
Still waiting for that.
Yeah, so, we will have that by July 12th. Because I want to get, if we end up doing it, I want to get it started. A lot of the approach that we're taking on all of these changes is that we want the best drainage that we can possibly get so that we don't have to keep going back and rebuilding. But the change orders, the last time we checked, were around 60,000 or so total, but again, we've made changes since then.
Does that include the changing from doing the paving of the golf course to?
No, that's,
Okay.
that was just drainage structures and ditching differently. And that sort of thing. We're making a lot of field adjustments because of the utilities especially. One of the big things that people are gonna see is Snow's Brook between the Valley Inn and the Silver Fox. That road's gonna get raised about a foot. Because they need to build drainage and the utilities are so shallow, that they gotta bring the road up in order to put the drainage in. So as you go down the hill,
Mhm.
right?
On Snow
between-
Brook.
On Snow's Brook, it's gonna be flatter for some distance, and then it'll be slightly more steep than it is now. And, but the effect will be so that we can raise the road back.
So I was driving through Salem, Mass. Sunday, I guess.
Yeah.
And they've created, they didn't widen the road at all, but they created a bike lane. And they have, some kind of, I should have got now take a picture of it. They have,
We can look up. the
We'll look
Salem
at
map.
So,
they have stanchions that come up about this high every 10 feet or something to delineate, and I was thinking of our concern about that.
Yeah,
So.
Are they plastic that like you
I
see?
think it
in
looks like
highways,
it's plastic, yeah.
They can be
I
removed.
should, I really should have started taking a picture of
yeah,
those
well,
rooms, yeah.
it. Would you say?
They weren't rooms.
yeah, but no, that's actually, Dave had mentioned having something visual,
Yeah,
especially in the summer, and so we'll look at that.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think I mentioned to you before on 302, or no, on Route 2, up north, the state has done similar, they're taller, they're probably 4 foot
Yeah.
tall, and I think they're metal. But they've created some barrier.
yeah,
Because
these are maybe 18 inches or something.
Okay. So we'll see, we'll take a look at it.
They're white.
I think ours would definitely have to have reflectors or something.
Yes, and quite different.
Yeah. But everything, everybody seems to be pretty happy, they're feeling that they're on schedule. They've been moving
Right.
crews around to different sites in the state, trying to get jobs done. But the weather so far hasn't been shown.
Too late.
Too
Can't get much
Alright.
worse. so.
No, we can't get into
No.
this. So,
Shall we move on to transfer station update?
had our meeting with DES on Friday. On site, it went very well. But then I got an email from them. So they kind of changed some of their decisions on site.
Of course.
And
Is this the
we
compliance side or the
no, the permitting. side.
permitting side?
Change their minds, so we will have to do a permit by notification application for the temporary site.
So another one.
And then another one when we move up. They had originally told us that we wouldn't have to submit anything except waiver requests,
Because it's the same lot.
because it's the same law.
That's
So now
apparently
they've
not.
changed it. So we will fill out the paperwork and we'll start working.
And we still don't have the environmental assessment.
And we still do not have the ER, so
Still haven't, so we have to- in other words, we haven't gone out. but-
we have not gone out to bid on the work of that. But the good news is they have removed
Yeah.
all the stumps and all of the material. The sludge drying bed has been cleaned
Good to
up,
go.
and so we are able to use that again
If you can
this fall.
take a glance at it when you get a chance during the week, it looks a lot better than it did.
Yeah, so
Looks like a brand new
go
barrel.
into Pumps Road and look over, it looks a lot better.
Oh, yeah. So we still may not be able to get any pavement down, looking less and less likely. Or like, we're thinking maybe.
The entrance?
Just the entrance part.
No, we're.
You still think we'll be able to do
okay
that?
if we can get
The environmental
the
report.
environmental
Right.
review, so we can get this. It's
At
for-
March, yeah.
March, yeah. April, May, June. Yeah. 3 months.
else on the transfer station? We talk more about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to make sure you got the additional information that's being put together. Do you want a hard copy of that to look at the meeting or? Yeah, okay, I printed out on an 11/17. It's big enough.
I think we covered, everything else here. Right? No more, nothing more we want to say about any of these things. Okay, so shall we move to, board concerns and directives? I have one or two, but.
We didn't do wastewater project update.
Oh, did we miss the wastewater project update? Sorry about that.
RFQs are out, a couple of engineering firms have
Good.
contacted us to just confirm their contact information, so if we have any amendments or questions that come in, we can communicate, but not a whole lot of response to date.
One of the engineering firms that did call, informed me that typically with engineering firms, there's just a little bit of insight for me, because I had no idea, is that their marketing and media section of their firm is like, all of them are minuscule. So they typically wait until like the day that it's due before they submit it, because they're just
What was
overloaded.
that due date again?
The due
July
date is
12th.
July 12th.
Yeah,
At 2 p.m.
Right.
So,
so
mm,
as we get closer, maybe start to worry a little bit, but
we won't, I don't expect anything. until
So just-
yeah,
Especially with the holiday.
right, exactly.
And that was a very large stuff. So,
Anything else on wastewater? So board concern and directives?
Yep.
You guys have anything? I have a couple of quick.
I got a couple of things.
Go ahead.
This is a minor thing, but it looked like the, I know we're mowing around town, but it looked like a cross in the golf course next to the walkway. There's a between the road and the walkway. Pretty high grass. And the bitch haven't got to that yet.
okay. Across from the golf clubhouse?
Yeah, right where we allow cars to park.
Yeah,
Okay.
strip.
It looked like kind of a high
Okay.
grass there.
I will talk to them.
And the, looks like we fixed some of the potholes in front of the town square, but there's two wicked ones that I assume they're in the road, not in the town square spot, but it's not, if you're coming out of the lot by by Jugtown,
Okay,
there's two really big holes there.
on that, on Village.
Yeah,
I talked to the crew about putting coal patch out. The problem, what we're waiting for is the holes need to not have standing water in it. Because if we put coal patch in them now, it'll just come out.
I mean, we did some of them, but yes.
Yeah, we
But those.
actually, the resort did that work
Oh, they did.
along the edge.
Okay.
Yeah, I had
So,
mentioned one.
I keep looking at these, wondering whether the town or you do it, but.
Yeah,
it used to be
generally-
more in the road.
Yeah, it's in the road. We'll work on, it. Yeah, it's just, we just need it to dry out a little bit.
I mentioned the one on Boulder's path, the mark, by the crosswalk.
Yeah, Older Path by the crosswalk. There's a big one on Valley Road,
But that'll
right
get
at the
taken.
entrance to Village. Yeah, but I'm.
Oh, all the way down the village.
No matter what, we're putting coal patch in that before Friday, close business Friday,
Oh, okay.
because
Okay.
I want to fix for the 4th of July. That one almost killed up there.
And,
Don't tell my wife.
and, are we okay with sick leave on Tony?
Yeah, we'll find.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, she's been out quite a while. She
Yeah.
supposed to come back next week, but
Yes, I think next week. Or the week after, but she has, we coordinated all that with short-term disability.
that's all I got.
Okay. So a couple of quick things. There seems to be some work. Looks like they may be putting in a culvert just beyond the dumpsters at the athletic club. If you walk along, it's the pond loop, right? So you're walking out, you know, you have the valley behind you.
Yeah.
There are a couple of pieces of heavy equipment, there's a big thing, you know, it's like culvert, there's a lot of movement of land back there, never much, but there's some movement of land.
That would be the resort working on.
The trail,
Trails,
yeah, so they're probably putting in the.
probably putting on a drainage
Right.
structure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they took out a really nice raspberry patch that's just beyond that.
Mhm.
It got excavated. I don't know why, I don't know what it has to do. with the world. I'm wondering, do we want to put up, I'm glad you're still here, David, a couple signs on Snows Mountain? We still have, I mean, I've started to drive on the other side of the road going up or down because of some of the potholes. And there's that turn. You know, when you're going up Snows Mountain, you just pass the tennis courts, you got to turn, you go into a Greeley Hill. There, a lot of people on besides my, you know, go out the other side to avoid some really bad potholes. And it's the same coming down. Are there any signs we could put up, rough road or caution? I just want to see if we can slow people down. I've seen some people that, you know, especially some of the contractors, is zipping down.
So cold patch. And
I don't think you want to touch any of it, frankly.
it's too big.
And I don't know when we're gonna be able to get to. Take a look at it. You'll see, I mean, if you watch the traffic flow, you'll see
On
people
Snows Mountain.
on Snows Mountain Road, people divert onto the other side, either going up or down. Maybe more going up or down than down, but I now do it going down. We get to Greeley Hill, you gotta move over. At least I do. And you can't see oncoming traffic because of the bend in the road.
Okay.
So maybe just a sign that asks people to slow down, rough road, or something, I don't know, there must be a sign that handles something. Like that.
Sort of rough road sign, something like that, like a cautionary.
Yeah,
Mhm.
caution, bad road. Just a thought, I mean, if nothing can be done, fine, but
We'll get something up there.
a concern, since
Mhm.
this board concern.
Mhm.
Just a concern, that's all. Anything else from anybody? Any correspondence, anything else we have left on the agenda?
No, all I would ask is, we've made all of the changes on selectmen's ordinance.
Okay, used to sign it.
So if you could just sign it, the second page has 3 lines. for it.
What is it?
Oh, yeah, one for personnel.
Anything else? we need to sign?
No, I took care of the other one.
You notice it.
No, it was my signature. It didn't need yours. I was like, no, that's not all.
Look, it's not even 5 o'clock yet.
I know, Bob.
We haven't finished yet.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, so, a motion to go into non-public? I'll second it, all in favor? Aye.